My sister Anna died 8 years ago. She had two boys, Luca and Milo, with her husband. The boys were her whole world, and when she realized she wasn't going to make it, she took me aside and told me she wanted me to look after her possessions, which included her small jewelry collection, a couple of very fancy art supplies, think custom paintbrushes kind of thing, some stuffed animals she'd had since childhood, and some family photos and baby books and blankets saved that belonged to our family. She told me she knew her husband would move on, and she was worried that he'd allow any future children of his to have her stuff instead of her boys once they came of age. So she made me promise I would keep them for the boys once they moved out. I made her the promise, and I kept it. He knew about it and was extremely unhappy with Anna's decision. He felt betrayed, like they should be just as much his as hers, but legally he couldn't do anything. My former brother-in-law remarried 6 years ago and has two stepdaughters and a bio daughter. Luca and Milo come to my house one weekend a month, which was ordered by the courts, and while they're with me, they have admitted to feeling like their dad wants them to treat the three girls like their mom's kids. So he asked them to ask me to give the girls the jewelry and the stuffed animals. The boys also told me he had shown the girls the photos of the two of them with the stuffed animals, and the girls got really jealous. They said they don't want their mom's stuff to go to them, so I promised them it would not, and I would give it to them one day. Former brother-in-law's oldest stepdaughter is becoming a teenager soon, and apparently she wanted my sister's locket or a look-alike. He approached me about it, and I told him no way. He told me I was being selfish, and that they're Milo and Luca's sisters, and Anna's memory should be shared with them, and they should feel like they have a guardian angel looking out for them. I told him Anna had not wanted that, and her priority would always have been her children over children he had or took on with someone else. I told him those three girls were nothing to do with Anna and were not entitled to any of her possessions. He called me an idiot and told me I was making the girls feel bad, and that even if Anna had never met them, I should have accepted them as family and done my best to treat them. He also brought up my not even letting them see the things in person, especially the stuffed animals, and I do remember his younger stepdaughter was upset not to see them. It makes me wonder if I am being too harsh with the kids, but I also don't want them to get attached either, because they'll never actually get anything from me, and the boys don't consider them sisters, so it's unlikely they'll ever give them anything either. Am I the idiot? Not the idiot. And wow, how did your sister predict your brother-in-law's future behavior so well? Does this man have any shame? Brother-in-law disappoints these children by showing them things he knows they'll never have and attempting to use their emotions to blackmail you into submission. What kind of emotional derelict human is this? If I were you, OP, I'd ensure these things are kept under lock and key. Your nephews are blessed to have such a fantastic promise keeper and aunt. I hope your sister haunts your brother-in-law for this mess. She knew what she was doing by entrusting you with her things. I'm not sure. I never expected her to worry about that stuff, but when she got sick, she did. She would never tell me where it came from either, but I have to wonder if it's how he responded once they learned she would die. God, she knew him well. This is exactly why your sister was so concerned. So stand your ground and call him out that this is precisely why his wife didn't trust him and asked you to look after the stuff, and that you will be sticking to that promise to her. Did brother-in-law leave his stash in one of the stuffed animals or something? This is pretty weird behavior. I can only imagine he wants some or all of the things for himself for some reason, and has manipulated the girls into wanting them to get them back. More likely he's selfish and wants his late wife's things to give to his new children because he's trying to buy or keep their love. However, I do really like your theory. It's clear his late wife saw him for what he really is. Otherwise, she would have never given her things to her sister for safekeeping for the boys. That's really sad for Anna and the boys that she knew the father of her sons would act this way once she was gone and start to give her things to his wife and new children. I'm nearly an adult male, and I have a sister who's a young teen. Our mom died when my sister was a baby. My sister doesn't remember mom, and when dad remarried 2 years after mom died, she started calling his wife mom. I never did. To me, she is not and never will be my mom. Not that she's a bad person, but I don't want another mom. I won't ever call someone else my mom. My sister hates when I talk about mom. I hate when she calls our dad's wife our mom. I've corrected her before, saying she's not my mom. My sister will say we need to have the same parents as siblings. We'd normally bicker over it. Then a few months ago, she was doing a family tree project, and she put the two of us down as kids to dad and his wife. I told her I was not their son. I'm mom and dad's son, and she needed to change it. She told me she couldn't since we're full siblings. I told her I didn't care because I would never be okay with my dad's wife being my mom. She told me that she was the only mom she had ever known. I told her that wasn't true for me, and that I'll always love and want my mom back. She told me it wasn't fair since mom, aka dad's wife, has been raising me longer. I told her I didn't give a crap about that, and she would never take mom's place for me. My sister accused me of being angry with her for calling her mom. I said no, I was mad at her for calling her my mom. I told her to call whoever she liked mom, but she needed to respect that only one person would ever be my mom. She then yelled that we were half siblings and couldn't be full siblings anymore. As she said this, she moved me to be her half brother. I said that was fine. The half thing stuck. She now uses it for me all the time. Dad was so angry when he started hearing that. She didn't tell him why for ages, and then a few nights ago she did. He confronted me and asked why I never corrected her. He said we're not half siblings. I said it's what fits us now because we have different parents. He told me it's not true, and we have the same 3 parents. I told him we each only count 2 parents. For me, it was him and mom. For her, it was him and his wife. He told me it didn't change the fact that we knew the same 3 parents. I told him it changed because his wife would never be one of the people I consider my parent. He told me I could feel that way, but it was wrong to accept the half-sibling label and that I should be trying to work things out with my sister instead of putting a distance between us. I told him that would never happen as long as she could dismiss the truth of who my parents are. I was sent to my room that night and the next day as a punishment, and he told me he was still angry at me for defending the half label. Am I the idiot? Not the idiot. It sounds like the half thing was your sister's idea to begin with. You do not have to refer to your dad's wife as your parent, and nobody has the right to say otherwise. Your sister only wants her view to be right, and your father's an idiot because he wants to shut his eyes to the reality that you both had a mom, and it's not your stepmom. You're not wrong to remember your mom. Hold those memories close, but maybe give your sister a break. She is very young. Wow, what a freaking mess. First, you didn't deserve punishment. Did your dad say what he said to your sister, though? Because you're not wrong. Her family tree is wrong for not including your guy's mom. The family tree is usually biological, but adopted and steps are included too. She could quite easily put both moms in, step and bio, obviously, but thought better say that anyway. LOL. Seriously, punishing you for not wanting to replace the memory of your mom? So sad. My 22 female, sister 28, recently moved in with me because she's getting divorced and has nowhere to stay. She has a daughter, pre-tween. I live in a 2-bedroom apartment, so it's cramped, and tensions are high. My niece is terrible, to be honest. She screams all day long at the top of her lungs. I work from home, so I've tried to get my sister to get her to stop, but she's so depressed from her divorce that she struggles to get out of bed. I've asked my niece to quiet down myself, but she just smirks at me and continues playing and screeching. I've gotten reprimanded at work for it. She also recently broke my laptop. I made it clear to both of them that my niece is not allowed to use my electronics, minus the living room TV. Lo and behold, my niece got her hands on my laptop to play games, spilled milk all over it, and ruined it. I was furious, but my sister paid to replace it, so I let it go. I've tried many times to talk to my sister about this being unacceptable, but keep getting blown off and told to let her grieve in peace. I do feel bad for her, so I was doing my best to just put up with it. Today I came home from errands to find my niece playing on my Nintendo Switch. Mind you, this was kept in my room, so she must have gone in there and looked for it. Annoyed, I held my hand out and told her to give it. She ignored me. I called for my sister to take care of her daughter, but she was asleep and told me to leave her alone. So I grabbed the Switch from my niece's hands and returned it to my room. She started crying and rolling on the floor, but I ignored her. Well, she decided that that was just not acceptable, so she took a Sharpie and drew it all over the living room wall. When I saw it, I freaked out. I told her she's a spoiled brat. She started screaming and crying even worse, finally waking my sister up. She came out, and instead of being angry and scolding her daughter for her behavior, she scolded me for yelling at her and calling her a spoiled brat. Not my proudest moment, but I yelled at my sister that I was being kind by letting them stay with me rent-free, and I was being treated like absolute crap in return. She wasn't parenting her child, and I wasn't going to parent her child for her, so she needed to get her crap together and her daughter under control, or they could find somewhere else to stay. Her daughter was not only getting me in trouble at my job, but had no respect for my personal belongings, and now was probably going to lose my security deposit because she didn't accept the word no. My sister started crying, called me an idiot, and she and my niece haven't come out of their room. I feel bad now. Am I the idiot? Not the idiot. Pack up their things, tell them to find another place, and then get out. Tell the princess that she's not the first to go through a divorce and won't be the last. And I wanted to add that Princess needs to put on her big girl panties. As devastating as a divorce can be, it doesn't give her the right to abdicate her responsibilities as a parent. Her daughter needs a mother now more than ever. The fact that she's even cowed OP into believing that grieving over a divorce like that is normal. She's lucky she has a place to stay, because most single moms wouldn't get to grieve their divorce for even a single day. Geez, she sounds like an exhausting woman that's determined to make her child just as exhausting. Bless you in your strong patience. OP, don't wait too long to make her leave. Right now you're risking your job and apartment. I'm sure your neighbors aren't too happy about the screaming. Now the niece is damaging your property and apartment, costing you money. Your sister needs a wake-up call to get her and her daughter help, but you can't be expected to destroy your own life because of her divorce. Wait too long and she pulls squatter's rights, or some I'm pregnant crap and refuses to leave. The niece is screaming to get attention from her mom because mom is wallowing in her depression. I get it. Her marriage is over and it sucks, but her daughter needs to be her priority. That means getting her butt out of bed and being a parent. The moment you received a reprimand for it from work, they needed to hear what you finally told them. If it's a choice between losing your job or having to put your foot down in your home, toss them out. Alright, so first, I didn't adopt this child from another country. She does not have a cultural name. Her birth parents are alive. Story. My sister is an addict, and she's refused treatment for close to 10 years, and even refused to go when we did a professional-involved intervention. She has 5 kids, none in her custody. Last kiddo, they asked my wife and I to take the baby, a boy, but we couldn't take him at the time. Apartment living with a roommate, both working insane hours, etc. But we said if there ended up being another one, we would try to be sure we were in a better position by then. Well, lo and behold, here we are with a baby girl in our house. She's 3 days old, named Jade. Literally, that's her name. It's not a bad name. My wife and I don't hate it, but we don't care for it either. So we want to change it to the name we had picked out for our own child. Before we decided we aren't having kids of our own, Alexandra. We brought it up to my mother and she was adamant against it. She told my sister, and my sister called me screaming about how I'm taking away her daughter's only connection to her, and that the birth certificate info has already been filled out, so we can't change it. She said she knows my wife and I won't allow her around the baby, and that changing the baby's name to one we chose is us displaying ownership over the baby, and the least we could do is honor the name my sister chose. The thing is, she's right. She's absolutely not allowed around my daughter for my baby's safety. She has no legal rights already. Another much longer story. She's my daughter, my wife's daughter, so maybe letting her keep the name Jade is the right thing to do? It actually will be her only connection to my sister, her birth parent. Am I the idiot if I changed her name? Not the idiot. Do what you think is best for the baby. Honestly, the child is probably better off with no connection to the birth mother, name or otherwise. You and your wife aren't signing up to be daycare. You are her parents, not your sister, period. When the adoption is finalized, the state will typically issue a new birth certificate, listing you and your wife as the parents, and the baby's name is whatever you choose. The idea that the birth certificate has already been filled out so her name can't be changed is nonsense. It's extremely normal for adoptive parents to choose a new name. I was adopted at 3 days old. I assume my biological mom called me something during her pregnancy and the few days she had with me. Plus, you could make Jade her middle name if you wanted. Alexandra Jade doesn't sound awful. Problem solved. LOL. You are the idiot. I'm torn between applauding you for wanting to take care of your niece and shaking my head at the free hall pass you gave your sister when she eventually pops out addiction baby number 6. Not only does your sister have no rights to what you do with what is now your daughter, seriously, she can get the heck out along with your mother. Babies are not like trees where she can etch her preferred name to it, then walk away forever but claim ownership and connection to it. The enabling, the entitlement. I feel like your good deed is being overshadowed by all the other BS. I, 29 female, and my husband, 30, married in June. I recently found out that I was expecting, and we are very excited. Money has been tight due to my husband only working part-time, so he wants to spend his free time building a baby room. I think it's very sweet, and I'm very excited to see the room. My parents and husband get along okay. They're worried that my husband is only with me for money. I grew up in a nice neighborhood and went to good schools. My parents did not grow up with money and worked hard to become successful. My husband did not grow up with money and has not asked for anything. We do not share finances as he loves to spend money. My parents asked me to come over for dinner as they wanted to talk. I went over, and they told me that they had given my husband a check for $500 to help with the baby's room. I was surprised when they gave me another check for $1,000. I went home and saw my husband playing on a brand new PlayStation 5. I asked him where the money was that my parents had given him, and he admitted to using it on the PlayStation. I asked him about the $1,000 check, and he said I'm using that on a new gaming PC. I pulled the check out and ripped it up. He starts yelling at me and calls me a petty witch for destroying the check. I told my parents about everything, and they're demanding their money back. His parents are calling me crazy and think I was in the wrong. Not the idiot for ripping a check in front of your husband. A bit dramatic, but it drove your point home. Possibly helpful in showing your husband how angry you are. However, useless if you don't follow it up with reasonable requests to change his behavior and stick to whatever actions you plan. He took money intended for your child, and now his parents are blowing up your phone? I'm sorry, your husband's either with you for the money or is completely immature. In any case, that was a ridiculous use of funds with a baby on the way. Please, OP, do not stay married to him. Every time will be wasted on frivolous items you don't need. Your parents were 100% right. You married a gold digger, and he's shown his true colors here. It doesn't matter how good your relationship is otherwise. Once you chose to have this baby, that child becomes your priority. And your priority is ensuring your child doesn't grow up with the father's wastrel. He spends money like it's going out of style. He didn't hesitate to spend $500 that was supposed to go to your child. He told you face to face that he would waste the other $1,000. He's using you and your parents. Get a lawyer, get a divorce.